Right. I love that music. And there are things about that music that when a record label, I got to say very clearly that Domino, my label, never, ever in a million years has pressed me for that and doesn't talk to me.
Lucky.
I am. I have everything nice in the world to say about Domino as a label. Like, they've never pressed me for anything like that. Their A&R process is very hands off, but I just know as someone who runs a label that what makes shit go is oftentimes the ability to hand one song to the gatekeepers and for that to open doors. And I didn't really do that on Fresh Blood. Really.
Oh, you know what? I didn't think about that. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of what would be
like Big
the
Love
song. Yeah, Big Love was the song.
Big Love was the song, man.
Yeah.
And that opened everything. And like there was Rock and Roll's Cold was kind of, but it wasn't. It just didn't have the same legs. And I didn't. And Domino, what I'm talking about now was never a conversation with Domino. It's just me learning when I look back on that record and realize that it was a little flat compared to. I mean, I still, toured around the world and had the time of my life. But, and actually, I should interject there that experience, even though the record didn't do quite as good, that band, me, Alan, Pinson, and Cameron, that was like. Yeah, man, that was the shit.
That solidified it.
Yeah, and to me, that's like, that was one of the great musical experiences of my life, was getting to play with that band every night, and I felt like we were just fucking fire.
Yeah,
like
I remember seeing those shows and thinking that. I feel like that's what made y'all the house band you wanted. You always saw yourselves as being.
Yeah, man, and it was that was really special, and that almost unrelated
dance moves.
Well, yeah, almost unrelated to the record, that was its own experience. And then what was I talking about? Oh yeah, the single thing.
Yeah,
like that. It's just there's a lot. There's practical concerns that go into releasing a record and how it resonates out into the world. And I think I didn't really equip the label in the best way. I think honestly, I thought Big Inner was so thrown, like, I was so spoiled by Big Inner, man. I can't say that enough. It's like, I just made this thing, didn't think anything of anything, gave it to somebody, got like 10 out of 10 in The Guardian, and was playing to like thousands of people. And it was just like, what? Cool, man. I'll just make a thing, and like, it'll be cool. And like, I realized real fast that wasn't how it worked. I got lucky, and it was good timing, and I made something pretty good the first time, but it's not repeat. It doesn't work like that. Yeah. Maybe it does for some people, but it doesn't work for me like that, man. It's like, I had to, and that's all good. And just, that was a learning process and really fun.
And after that, I feel like you were kind of embraced and really started doing all the European stuff a lot. And then it seemed like that came back here. Yeah. You had I can't remember all the names, but you had the single, the covers record.
Oh
with
yeah,
Homegirl.
The thing with Flo, and that went. What's funny about that is that was again kind of like Beginner, weirdly, like something that was less thought about. It was just like I met this woman, Flo Morrissey, on tour, and she was just a friend, and we talked about doing a covers record, and she came over for 2 weeks. We did this covers record, and like to a lot of people, that's like the record that they know. It's weird.
That's like very surprising to me.
That's like people will be like, oh yeah, you're like, look at what the light did now, or the Grease guy, or whatever. It's like, all right, okay,
sure.
Goodness.
All right, so you did that, and then you had the Bedouin. That was another project.
So the Natalie thing allowed us, again, it was kind of like sort of simultaneous stories here, but like the Natalie record allowed us to basically have one more record, and then we released Bedouin. And the Bedouin thing and the Flow thing, Bedouin's record came out on Spacebomb, and the Flow record came out on Glassnote, because she signed to Glassnote, and I signed to Domino, and Domino passed on. Domino was cool, once again. Domino's always been cool. And they were like, we'll just let you put it on Glassnote. We don't want to do a split release, and we're fine with not doing it.
Right.
So we'll put it on Glassnote. So that was like me working with Glassnote for the first time. Glassnote is a record label coming to play later in the story potentially, but started by Daniel Glass, who did
I did not know his name was Daniel Glass.
Yeah. did all kinds of things in the 70s, 80s. He was like one of the early like New York kind of party DJs, and then like sort of parlayed that into a record label career, like signed Boy George and put out Who Let the Dogs Out and like all kinds of
shout out to the Baja Man.
Yeah, kind of like had a ridiculous major label A&R executive career. And then in the 2000s, he basically saw that the major label ship was sinking and bet everything that he could make an indie label on his own merit and his talent, which was a very, very good bet for him. And he has signed Phoenix and Childish Gambino and Mumford & Sons and has done very well for himself. And that's a very, very short, sorry, Daniel, history of Glass Note. And Flo, it was an artist on Glass Note, kind of like had a record come out, but we're not Mumford & Sons. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, of course.
Anyway, so we made that record, and Bedouin put out her record, and that did really well. That was another one that did kind of, I don't know, man, just Spacebomb didn't have as much to do with that. We did the arrangements on it. Okay. She produced it in LA. That was kind of the first time where we kind of opened up.
Outsource.
Yeah, we kind of opened. And that was something that we talked about we talked about that a lot. That wasn't an accident. About like being able to like we wanted to be in a position where if someone handed us a record and we thought it was like drop dead amazing, that we could put it out and that was okay under the Spacebomb umbrella. So we that was a conversation that was going on. Part of that is because the house band was like on tour all the time in that season. It was like, well, how are we going to make records? Because that was like, how are we going to make records when like half the band's out with Natalie and half the band's out with me and like no one's home together at the same time for like 24 months. There's a lot of practical things there. But Bedouin was wonderful. I mean, she straight up handed me her demo in a bar.
Cool.
And was like, walked up to me after a show in LA and said, hey, would you listen to one song if I send it to you? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, my artist name is Bedouin. I'm going to email you a song. Don't listen to anything else. Just listen to this one song. And she sent me a song and it was fucking incredible. Yeah. And I was like,
she's got an amazing voice.
Yeah. And I was like, I mean, it was the only thing that I've ever heard really that was just like, I remember sitting in a van with Alan. And it was like, you're in a van, you're kind of like spaced out, and like just out of it, blown out a little bit. And I heard it and was just like, this shit is incredible, man. And like, I remember passing the headphones to Alan being like, is this like as good?
This is good, right?
Like that kind of thing. Like, is this as good as I think that it is? And he listened, he's like, dude, this is amazing. And it was that was just like, all right. So but again, it was the same thing. It was like Spacebomb didn't have a lot of resources because we were all in on that, and it takes a long time for that to kind of come back. So then we put out Bedouin, and that did pretty good.
Sweet. And that kind of leads us up to now in a way. That kind of leads us
up to now, yeah.
Andy put a project out with Andy, and then Andy Jenkins, Andy Jenkins.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there was kind of like Spacebomb partnered with Daniel. I mean, I don't know how much you know about that, but that's like
the Glass Note. Well, yeah, I heard about that, but again, we don't never know what anything means.
Yeah, well, it just means.
I was like, Spacebomb is bought. I thought they bought Spacebomb.
Daniel Glass bought a portion of Spacebomb.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay,
but not Glass Note didn't. Daniel did.
Oh, okay.
So Daniel came on as an investor and got an advisor, basically, because I had done stuff. Basically, the combination of me doing that record with Flo and him really like kind of being like, whoa, this is more than I was expecting out of like he'd given us like a really, really small budget, and it was like I think he was excited by he thought it had overachieved, and it definitely did overachieve, like in that, and if you're measuring things that way, and then he was aware of the Bedouin record because that kind of made a splash a little bit, and he sort of approached us and was like, hey man, what is this? What is this thing? This Spacebomb thing?
Give him the elevator pitch.
Yeah, basically gave him the elevator pitch. It took about a year to work. I mean, it took a long fucking time to work out, and a lot of, I mean, it's
typing.
It's a lot of lawyers and that kind of thing, and he just came on as an investor, and that helped helped things, man. And so we put out Andy's record and Sleepwalker's record. And
yes. Okay, so that's present.
Yeah,
Sleepwalkers. Let's tell me about what you got going on like right now.
Yeah, so right now, Andy Jenkins just released a new EP. Sleepwalkers have just released a record.
What's the scene with that? Are they on Spacebomb? Yeah. Are you releasing records that they made, or did Spacebomb make the record with them?
They have made. We have nothing to do with that from a
y'all are just
point of view.
I feel like that's a big change.
Yeah, that's a big change.
Like someone came to you with a done record.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Angelica's records. So we just signed Angelica Garcia.
Yeah.
Angelica Garcia, and she released.
Shout out to Angelica.
Yeah, she released a couple singles, and she has a record coming out.
She's a badass, man. She's fucking out of here, bro.
Man. She's unbelievable.
She's got fighting spirit. When every time I see her, I'm just like I'm like happier. You know what I mean? It's just
great.
Like yeah.
She lights it up, man.
Yeah.
And we saw her. We did the show in Austin that was like for South by. That was like all basically like a lot of Spacebomb artists or people that have come in for production who are like associated with Spacebomb in one way or the other, and did it was like 5 hours of music that the house band like backed people up. It was sort of insane, but she did a set like a solo set, her like loop stuff, and it like fucking tore the house down. It was crazy, man.
Yeah,
it was crazy. It was like I was just like, oh my god, Angelica, that's effortless.
Yeah, it's
just
nuts.
Effortless,
yeah.
Man. It was like it was amazing, and so I'm very happy about that. I think it's nice. Both Sleepwalkers and Angelica are nice because they're local, man. It's like that's cool. We're not signing them because they're local. Like I
always thought that was like the thing y'all were missing in a way. Like
local signings.
Yeah, local signings and like people who look different. Like different type of music and different like backgrounds. Like not less beards and less indiness. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, there's only one beard.
Woo! Talk that shit, boy. Woo! No, everybody's got a beard. Alan doesn't have a beard.
Well, yeah, from that side of things.
Yeah,
I
sure.
So that's been really good. Sleepwalker's good. Angelica's great. Beto just had a record come out. What else? Like I was saying before we turned on the mics, we have a series, a Live at Spacebomb series that just kind of allows us to work with friends in the industry who aren't necessarily signed to the label. So we did something with His Golden Messenger.
His Golden Messenger. I'm just saying it louder.
Oh, yeah. And Sing Kane. Did something with Fruit Bats and Vetiver earlier this year.
Fruit Bats, that's a fun band.
Yeah, it's cool.
They're definitely out of left field, but they sound so good that it doesn't matter in a way. You know what I mean?
Eric's great, and that's something. It's funny. I mean, the whole Spacebomb
they
world.
Have a funness about them that's different. You know? Yeah.
Just the whole Spacebomb world, from talking Spacebomb point of view, has just grown tremendously. Like out of, and I was saying this before we
got your own space now.
It's like, it's like we have our own studio, and like I am involved, but it used to be more of like a Matt White. I mean, it just started that way because I was the founder and I was the driver of it. Now it has its own thing.
It's rolling.
Yeah, it's like I'm in there occasionally, but like I am focused at least as much, or if not mostly, on like Matthew E. White as solo artist and kind of like doing that stuff. Anything I produce kind of goes through Spacebomb, but like Spacebomb is a real record label with,
I know.
With an office.
It's amazing.
With people that work in an office from 9 to 5 every day.
Yeah.
106 Robinson. You can go see him if you want. And like,
I got to go by there.
And
a great team. You know, I feel like it works well because you have a team full of go-getters.
Yeah,
like
man.
Trey is a go-getter.
Oh, yeah,
you know, he's getting it done. Alan, you know, and like Cameron again is a deep artist.
Yeah, man.
Pinson, a very deep artist. You know what I mean?
And like those guys, it's like, you know, it's just a lot bigger and a lot more energy and a lot more work than me. You know, I think people kind of project it as more of sometimes in interviews, or like I'll read things. It's like as if it's like a Matt White thing, and it really at this point it is partially a Matt White thing, but not. It's like Merge. It's like a.
I mean, you got it off the ground, man. Merge is always going to be Mac. It's like it doesn't matter what he says.
It's a label that goes, man, and that's cool, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of those guys. I mean, Ben and Jesse and Dean and Trey and all those guys that like run it